how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record.
Well, you said she brought the noise, and I'd be remiss not to mention lately getting involved in some controversy.
What happens when one of basketball's biggest legends can't stop criticizing the sport's fastest rising star? We just found out. Sheryl Swoopes has been completely removed from all 2025 WNBA broadcasts after her repeated attacks on Caitlin Clark. Think this is just about basketball opinions? Think again. Swoopes went on a podcast and claimed Clark was playing her 5th college season and taking 40 shots per game, statements that were verifiably false. The WNBA just sent a powerful message about accuracy, respect, and the future of women's basketball, and the timing couldn't be more significant for the league. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. When it comes to sports commentary, your reputation is everything. Stephen A. Smith absolutely destroyed Swoopes on national TV in a way that left viewers shocked. You know what happened? Smith called out Swoopes directly for conveniently forgetting to mention Caitlin Clark when discussing the Indiana Fever's success. He didn't hold back at all, saying, "There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it."
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from what she's done, but if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then you should do it in that same amount of time.
It's so incredibly important. We have to bridge that gap between what's going on today and what we experience. And it will help the younger generation to know our experiences so that they don't make the same mistakes and we continue to soar.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player said it.
Smith's takedown was brutal because he basically said what everyone was thinking. This wasn't some innocent oversight. This was Swoopes deliberately trying to erase Clark from the conversation. And coming from Stephen A., one of the most powerful voices in sports media, this was like dropping a bomb on whatever credibility Swoopes had left. The drama didn't stop there. Nancy Lieberman, who used to be friends with Swoopes, had enough of the nonsense too. Think about how bad things have to get when your own friends start calling you out. Lieberman reportedly called Swoopes directly to confront her about spreading straight-up lies about Clark. Their relationship completely fell apart after that conversation.
She's not just a three-point shooter. She's a great passer, not a mediocre passer, not so-so. She is a great passer.
There was this quote by Sheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old.
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from what she's done, but if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then you should do it in that same amount of time.
But here's the crazy part. Lieberman didn't just call Swoopes out. She actually ended up replacing her on the Dallas Wings broadcasts. Talk about adding insult to injury. Imagine losing your job to someone who used to be your friend, all because you couldn't stop hating on a rookie. That job change sent a crystal clear message about who the basketball world thought was more credible. And you know what makes this whole situation even worse for Swoopes? People started digging into her past, and what they found wasn't pretty. Remember when she coached at Loyola University? She got fired back in July 2016 after players started leaving the team in droves. Former players described a complete nightmare working with Swoopes. They said she would cry during games and practices, threaten to take away scholarships, and even share personal information inappropriately. This pattern of toxic behavior suddenly made so much sense to fans who were watching her bizarre vendetta against Clark unfold. It wasn't just about basketball analysis anymore. This was a glimpse into someone who seemed to have serious issues with successful young women who threatened her legacy. The social media response was absolutely brutal. Every time Swoopes made a comment about Clark, an army of basketball fans would fact-check her in real time. Her claims about Clark's college career and shooting stats were torn apart within minutes. Analysts and fans posted side-by-side comparisons of what Swoopes claimed versus the actual statistics. Her credibility credibility wasn't just damaged, it was completely obliterated.
I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
Brought that noise. And the fact that she can knock down the NBA three-pointer, especially back then, and still get to the rim when you play up on her, like she was cat quick. She just really brought the complete package.
How important, and there's no doubt about the greatness of Sheryl Swoopes and her impact on basketball, not just women's basketball, but basketball in general.
What happened next was almost comical. After months of trashing Clark at every opportunity, Swoopes suddenly appeared on ESPN with a completely different tune. In what felt like the most insincere pivot ever, she actually praised Clark and the Fever, saying, "The team I feel made the biggest moves, maybe even the best moves, would be the Indiana Fever." The response online was exactly what you'd expect. One fan commented, "Oh, how she is changing her tune now." Another wrote, "Is Swoopes okay? She said something nice about CC instead of bashing with a lie." Nobody was buying this sudden change of heart. It came across as a desperate attempt to save her career as she watched her broadcasting opportunities slip away.
And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion.
I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend.
Meanwhile, the WNBA was facing a serious dilemma. The league was experiencing unprecedented growth thanks largely to Clark's arrival. Viewership was skyrocketing, merchandise was flying off shelves, and social media engagement was at all-time highs. Having a former legend like Swoopes continually spreading misinformation about their biggest star became more than just an annoyance. It was becoming a liability. The basketball community's response made the WNBA's decision inevitable. Current players, retired legends, coaches, and fans rallied around Clark in overwhelming numbers. They saw through Swoopes' thinly veiled attempts to diminish Clark's impact and called it exactly what it was: jealousy masked as analysis. So the WNBA's message couldn't be clearer: adapt or get left behind. They chose the future over protecting someone stuck in the past. This league is finally embracing its massive potential and won't let anyone block that path. The Indiana Fever are building something special around Clark, and you know what's crazy. They're not just relying on her rookie talents. They've added championship experience with veterans like Natasha Howard and Dana Bonner. Howard brings defensive dominance as a former Defensive Player of the Year, while Bonner provides leadership from her 3 championships. That young core of Clark, Boston, Hull, and Mitchell now has the perfect veteran balance. The new WNBA has arrived. Embrace it or watch from the sidelines.